Hello, hello, hello. This is Tagore Almeida from the Uncultured Company, and welcome to my podcast, A Pint of Imbecile Wisdom, where I talk to everyday people with everyday stories and great inspirations for everyone. So today with me, I've got somebody who I've tried to figure out what exactly is going through her mind and what has been going through her mind, because she landed from Africa on the sunny shores of Dubai when she was a young girl. She started her career working at quite a low level in a bank, and rightly so. And she moved up the ladder quite quickly, and she left the bank, I think, as a vice president of some sorts. She moved to different segments of the bank as well. And she then went on to start up an investment company in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, where she was the CEO. And hear this, she was listed among the top 10 powerful women in the GCC by Forbes Middle East and some other Middle Eastern magazines, not once, but about 4 or 5 times. And then at the height of it, she's quite a powerful lady. She gave it all up to do something really strange. But you can't, success and the drive to achieve things is really an addiction in a good way. So even though she gave up a high-profile career and a high-profile job and that position of power, she, for something completely different, and we come to that, she then went and ventured into starting off a new sort of business venture, which was very well received in the Middle East and also around the world. So today with me, I have Sarah, who's going to be talking to us about what it's like to be a woman, what it's like to be so successful, what it's like to be listed among being the top, influential women in the GCC, and a lot more. And you won't believe what she's been doing right now. So, Salam alaikum, Sarah, and welcome to my podcast.
Alaikum salam, Tagore, and thank you so much for inviting me, to speak in this amazing show. When I hear you, I'm asking myself, Sarah, really, did you do all that?
You did.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, let's start with a little basics. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, your background, your family, and then up to what brought you to Dubai.
So, interestingly, my parents, God bless their soul, they've passed away now, enjoying the divine. So they came to the United Arab Emirates in early 70s, and from Tanzania, and then they settled, in the UAE, and my father started working here. And I came here with my 2 elder sisters. I was about 5 years old. So we got here entirely when this country was literally, almost 60%, 70% desert. Today, of course, we have Burj Khalifa. Back then, we didn't have anything like that. Our playground used to be desert and the sea. But it was beautiful, very, very. I had an amazing childhood in this country. And then my father put me to an English school, so I started studying, from the basic, in private schools. And then, of course, when I was, 16, 17 years old, my parents thought it best get me married. I was married at a very early age of my life. And then started my career after that. So we literally going to Emirates Bankers Training Institute, which was the only institute here that provided certificates and diplomas in the banking industry. Because remember, I just done school. I didn't get a chance to go to university, and I was married. So started working in banks. My first career was with Barclays, and then over the years I built myself from corporate banking, went to private banking, When I was going into private banking, I decided to do MBA, and then I studied. There's a University of Bradford where I opened a faculty here in the UAE for the first time in the early 90s. So that's when I started. I wanted to get more. I needed to learn and study more because the industry demanded that of me. And then, that's how I started growing within the banking industry, and then finally becoming private banker and then wealth manager and so forth. So, and of course, I had 3 wonderful children, a daughter and 2 sons. But of course, my daughter, she passed away in early 2000, around 2005. She was ill, and then she passed away. But then today I have my 2 wonderful sons with me. And then, that's it, from banking, you build your career within I built my career within the wealth management industry. And then I joined a private equity house in Abu Dhabi, where I did corporate finance, things like IPOs, structuring funds, with a very good team down there. And in that institution, I'm very proud to say, I was successful in launching the first woman fund called the Dana Women Fund, and it was also endorsed by Her Highness Shaka Fatma. She's the wife of the late His Highness Sheikh Zayed. So she endorsed it, and we were very successful in launching that fund. And then after that, I joined the family business in Abu Dhabi, and we started building a foundation for an investment bank. And what was very interesting again about that corporation was that at that point in time, 20% of our shareholders were women. And we were the first investment banking company to be run by women. The chairman was a woman. I was the CEO and the founder. My chairman was also a co-founder and a woman. And that made the company very interesting, because here we are in the Middle East, and we are launching the first proper official investment bank run by women, and actually, have women as shareholders as well. So
here's the thing, Sarah. I mean, obviously, my parents were in Abu Dhabi. My wife was born and raised in Dubai. I've spent a significant time of my life in Dubai as well. And here's a lot of people still, and I hope that's changed now, have this perception that Arab women and Muslim women, are stuck at home and they're not allowed to work and all of that. And that's completely different, because I've known a lot of Emirati women, a lot of Muslim women making great careers for themselves in that part of the world.
No, Tagore, you're so right. It's such a blessing to be in this particular country, United Arab Emirates, because all the legislations, all the political leaders, all the sheikhs, they support the growth of women in this region. And His Highness the Late Sheikh Zayed said, our economy is 50% men, 50% women. We can't survive without the participation of women in the economy. And that was such a boost. And Her Highness, Shaka Fatma, may God give her, health and long life. She's an advocate, of women empowerment in the entire world, not just in the United Arab Emirates. And we set up an example. And other GCC countries also, started empowering their women as well. So Middle East in general, have really moved really far away from this mindset that women should be sitting at home and
I think it's a great case study.
That's why we are successful, honestly. I mean, otherwise it would have been extremely very challenging, to go out and about. and be part of a system where men and women come together and work towards one goal, towards one vision. So we are really very proud to be in this part of the world. And that's the reason why, you have people like Forbes Middle East, Arabian Businesswomen, and all other magazines that are catered towards women. They pick upon us to highlight us, not because they want to shine us, because they want to show that how women have reached their success goals. And some of the women in the top 100 CEO women, for example, I'm one of them. For the last few years, they've been nominating me. So, you will see some of those women that are there. They're absolutely doing amazing work out there in building their own businesses and participating in the economies of the country.
Yeah, and I mean, today we've got Emirati women doing fashion design, we've got them being entrepreneurs, we've got them being into banking, and doing so much of stuff. Great. So
they are engineers, they are in banks, they are in doctors, the oil and gas industry. They are in all those areas. Where you will not see women there, even if they are one or two. It's such a difference. Yeah. They are pilots, they are aviation engineers, out there. Yeah. It's amazing. We are there in all sectors. Yes, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about this time that you spent in Abu Dhabi, being the CEO of this investment company. So how did that happen, and what was that like?
So that started actually, remember I told you when I had launched the Ghana Women Fund, I used to work with a private equity house called the National Investor, which is TNI by short. So I was with them for about 4 years, and then one of the board members at that time was one very prominent lady from Abu Dhabi. So we worked together towards launching the first woman fund, and it was very, very successful. And she told me, Sarah, why don't you come? We have a family business, and let us together, launch an investment bank for women. And really, that was the motivation behind it. And we did so, even though we kept it open for everyone. I mean, it was not just for women, but it was very interesting that the structure that was built on, like it was the first time there was a investment banking company licensed by the UAE Central Bank, where women had some shareholding equities in that. So that kind of was very exciting for all of us. So that, we started off, I started off my journey as becoming the CEO and partly co-founder of that company. And, I'm very proud to say that during those times, we launched some funds, and we were managing our own portfolios as well. And the company was generating close to 25 million dirhams net every year for 7 years. And in that also, we had won the best GCC fixed income portfolio, best UAE equity fund, GCC equity fund portfolio. And we had some few very, very interesting achievements in that particular company.
So all of this sort of gave you enough recognition because you were listed among the top 10 most powerful GCC women.
Top 100.
The top 100 by Forbes Middle East. And that happened for a number of years. So that must have felt really nice. I know that you didn't, you weren't sure about how your name got onto there, but that must have felt nice. But Sarah, I want to ask you, one is, how did it feel? And number two, what responsibility does that recognition bring?
You see, Tagore, one is I had no idea that I was nominated, and I was amongst, because when I looked at the profiles of all other women down there, I was thinking, oh my God, I still have such a long way to catch up with this women. But honestly, it really didn't matter, because those media publications, wanted to highlight the achievements and hard work of women more than anything else. And that sort of, honestly, it felt really good, because my secretary walks in and shows me, the newspaper and the magazine, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, what? And then you get invited in these gala dinners where you're awarded and appreciated. It's a sense of achievement. There is a fulfillment and a sense of achievement, because we do have to work very, very hard, Tagore. Even though we have the freedom of working out there, but as women, I believe we have to work extra hard to prove ourselves, and we have to do extra work, to prove ourselves. It is not easy, because it's not because we have men intimidating us. It's because we don't have, we have that fear in us, is that are we doing enough? Am I doing the right way? I mean, do I have, what more I can do? How, we are always driven by this sense of being perfect, and trying to do extra. We go really extra mile to prove ourselves, which even if we would have done at half the capacity, we would have still achieved a lot. So it's really, as women, I think we are nurturers, right? So as nurturers, the fear factor kicks in anyway, right? So we carry a child in our stomach for 9 months. We nurture it in there. When it comes out again, we nurture it, and it grows up, and then takes his part in the circle of life. But we carry the same kind of notion even when we are working, So to me, that gave me a lot of sense of responsibility, and my stress level went up here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
because I felt I had to keep up to it. It's like, wow, Sarah, no, now you need to extra work. Now you have to do so that actually made me really drive myself very fast, so to keep up, because there's always a line you need to draw between your personal life and your work life. Otherwise, you get consumed, and you get very tired.
And you were on that list for quite a number of years. I mean, it was
about
5 years. Okay, so you've just mentioned something which I want to come to straight away now, because I said earlier on that you gave it all up at the heights of its power and everything. So that all of the success and all of the achievements came at a cost of your health, right? And that led you to start contemplate on what you were doing with your life, and you had to take a call about looking after yourself and your well-being, to be there for your sons, for example, and for yourself. So you gave it all up, and that was the trigger. And then you deep dive into something which you don't usually, and I say that very respectfully, you don't usually hear a lot of Muslim women, let alone a lot of Emirati women, sort of taking this up. You went and became a yoga practitioner. You've been practicing your Himalaya Kriya Yoga for a long time, with the sole intent of trying to improve your health, trying to improve yourself emotionally, mentally, and so forth. So tell me something. I know the value of Himalaya Kriya, but what led you down that path?
So the thing is that, as you rightly mentioned, my health was deteriorating, and I had all sorts of issues with my health. And I'm somebody who doesn't have time or likes to go to the doctors all the time, So I remember walking into a hospital, and then I used to get, chronic urine infection and migraines and stuff like that. And I had to go to the hospital because there's no pills, no medication out there would just help me out. I couldn't just walk into a pharmacy and get something. I always have to go to the hospital. So the doctors wanted to do a full kind of test on everything. So they come up with a report and then, tell me, what I should be doing, and of course prescribing all the medications to me. So they kind of, gave me those pink papers, yellow papers, blue papers, whatever, And I remember so well, Tagore. I will never forget that day, because that day is where my turning point came to that particular day. I took all the papers, and instead of going to the different labs that I needed to go, I just walked out and I looked at the universe, and I just said, if you have given me all these ailments, you're going to find me the solution. And I said it with such conviction, Tagore, and I threw away everything in the dustbin. I remember it so well, and I went and I sat in the car. I was so sick I couldn't even drive the car. I called my nephew to come and pick me up. So and I just went home. That in itself, it was like if I talk about it today, it's like I was in some kind of a dream, And then after 2 days, 3 days, I received a message from a very good friend of mine that there is this a guru that's in town, and she doesn't know that I'm very sick. She has no clue about what's going on in my life because we meet occasionally only, and we haven't met for so long. And she sent me, Dr. Pradeep Ulal's, a WhatsApp invitation. She says, everybody's going to see him. Now, I have never in my life gone to see a Hindu guru. And I have never met a Hindu priest. I've met Muslim priests in the past, and I've been to them as well. But it's not in my domain of thinking at all. But there was something about that invitation that captured me. It says Kevala Foundation, and I googled it, and it's all green and it's forest, and I love nature very much. So I just called the lady who was hosting him, and I just went to meet him. And from that time onwards, Tagore, I was just hooked on. He asked me to do some breathing exercises, which I've never done before. I'm not a yogi. I wasn't a yogi at that point in time at all. I used to do exercises on and off, but never so intense in this yoga. And then, I went to the Kevala Foundation for a few weeks. I came back. I just joined the group. There was a large group here in the UAE, especially in Dubai, that used to do Himalaya Kriya Yoga. So I just joined them, and then, of course, Dr. Pradeep used to come every year here to coach us and train us. I just blend into it, and while I was blending into it, and not one single day, Tagore, I doubted the practice. And even though I knew it was very much connected to Hinduism, very much connected to Sanskrit, very much connected to the Indian culture, and of course many of my family members were coming back to me again and again, telling me, Sarah, why are you doing this? This is not right. This is not our religion. This is this. So what I was fascinated about the practice is that the practice is so much about you. It has nothing to do with the religion. Absolutely nothing.
In fact, funny you should say that, because I was gonna lead our conversation into this, but a lot of people actually do have a misconception that yoga is connected to a religion. Yoga has got nothing to do with a religion. It's an ancient way of living. It's an ancient science. I know that because it's been practiced so much in India, it's associated with Hinduism, but yoga has got nothing to do with religion. And even Dr. Pradeep Ulal has got nothing to do with Hinduism. He's a man of science, and he believes in the science of the body. And you can be a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jain, a Buddhist. You can be anything if you want to be practicing this particular science of yoga. But I want to ask you a question then. And this was, sort of, still we're living in a sort of a dark age where we are very much influenced by social media and assumptions. So you touched upon it. How does it feel being a Muslim woman practicing Islam that you do, and you still consider yourself to be a Muslim woman, and doing something like Himalaya Kriya? Is there a conflict there? I mean, how do these two blend in your world?
So you mentioned something very important just now. You said, yoga is a practice and it is a lifestyle. For me, it is a lifestyle. It's the most natural tool for you to align your body and to be healthy, and to have a healthy mind. And that is what Himalayan Kriya Yoga period is all about. Now a lot of Vedic science kicks into it, but ancient people, they had ilm, they had a very deep understanding of the way the world operates and human science operates more than even our people today. So Dr. Pradeep just, was blessed to access that knowledge and converted it into a practice. Because if you think about it, Tagore, Kriya means purification in Sanskrit, right? And people who do Kriya, there's lots of Kriya institutes around the world, and I've looked into it. But those Kriyas are only breathing. They are different breathing techniques, that people sit down and practice. They do the other yogas like Hatha and all other yogas to have the flexibility, but then they sit down and keep on breathing, and they call that Kriya. But Himalayan Kriya Yoga is a combination of physical practice with breathing. No one does that. We are the only ones who have been blessed, to have access to that kind of knowledge. And what that happens is, when you are physically moving yourself and you are breathing, you're actually directing the energies to all those parts of your body where there are blockages. Okay, so when you go out and you meet people, 99% of the people I'm meeting are Muslims, and they are conservative, fundamental Muslim women. They wear hijab, they cover themselves, they don't even mingle with men. And I am doing Himalayan Kriya Yoga with them. Even in Mombasa. In Mombasa, I have close to 400 women that I was coaching. In the UAE, I have approximately 50 Arab local women that I'm coaching. And it's growing every day. And I go to their homes and I tell them one thing. I don't discuss religion because I don't think so it's my place to discuss religion. I discuss humanity and human science. I tell them this is the most natural way of you, and you are working with your body. I'm not touching you. I'm not doing anything to you. You are breathing, you are moving, so you are working with your own body. I'm not influencing, I'm only teaching you and giving you the tools. So as opposed to someone massaging you or somebody giving you some kind of prescriptions or some kind of all those organic stuff they give to people, in order to heal them, I said, I'm not doing any of these things. So when I do the practice of Kriya Yoga with them, I tell them, just do it and see how you feel. If it resonates with you, if you feel good about it, we'll continue. And the next day they come back and they say, wow, Sarah, I feel so light. I feel so good. I can do my prayers properly. Tagore, when you know about Islam, when we pray, right? We pray like 5 times in a day, and we are supposed to be focused. We call it in Arabic khushu'. We have to be focused and we have to be so feeling the divine. We cannot just go up and down and recite some Quranic words. It doesn't work. You need to be connected, And usually it's very challenging for us Muslim people, to access that kind of connection with the divine. But through Kriya Yoga, Tagore, I know because I practice, because I pray. My level of connection with the divine tremendously improved. So now when I pray, I'm disconnected totally with all of my surroundings. I am inside and I'm connected. How beautiful is that? How can this practice be stereotyped, for example? It is a practice that just makes you complete from inside. And
Correct.
That cannot be wrong. Another thing I tell them, because they would always challenge me, and throw things at me and bring some kind of things from the Islamic world, from the Arabic world. And then I tell them, you go to doctors, right? You go to India, you go to different part of the world. Do you ask the doctor that is treating you what religion he comes from? Do you ask their background? Okay? In schools, we were educated in private schools. Most of our school teachers were Hindus, and they were coming from India, for example, or Christians, or from other parts of the world. They were non-Muslims. Did we even ever ask them? But we were learning from them, right? So I tell them, me too. I have a master. He's Hindu. And I'm learning from him. And I'm learning from him about humanity. And humanity doesn't have any religion. Humanity is spiritual. If you understand that, like everything else, because we need to be spiritually connected as humans. We cannot disassociate ourselves with spirituality. Otherwise, we are incomplete. We are never happy. We are never satisfied. And that's what happened to me when I left the investment banking world, because I felt, that there was something really missing in my life. There was something, if I was so successful and I was, out and about, out there in the world making a difference, how come my body was not keeping up with it? What was wrong with my body? Why was I becoming so sick? Why was I having all these health issues? Why didn't I have mental peace and mental stability, for example? Why these imbalances? So I questioned myself. And when I started the Himalaya Kriya Yoga practice, I became fulfilled. I'm still an investment banker. I still do my work, but I am also working for my body. I'm not just working for the world.
But it's the body, the mind, and the soul that you're working on.
Yes, absolutely, because that is the part of spirituality. That's what I understand from spirituality, is how you connect with your inner self, how you connect, because we can see our hands, we can see our face in the mirror, but can we see our heart inside? Can we see our lungs inside? Can we see our intestines inside? Can we see what's happening inside our knees? What's happening in our ankles? Can we see what's happening in our spine, in our head, inside our brain? We can't see. These are only things that we can feel, but we cannot see them. And when we are all about the external world, Tagore, we lose that connection.
Correct.
And spirituality is all about that connection, all about that.
So for how long have you been doing Himalaya Kriya, Sarah?
This is my 7th year.
7th year. Okay, so you've been doing this, and obviously you're helping a lot of women. You're also trying to bridge the gap between, faith and religion, and between religion and a scientific method. And I know you keep on talking about Pradeep being a Hindu, but to me, I've known him for 22 years. I've never seen him as a Hindu. I've just seen him as a person who's so scientifically tuned with the universe and the connect of the soul and the body of mankind and the universe. But being successful is an addiction. So while you've been doing your yoga, you also ventured into another very, very cool entrepreneurial initiative, which even I had heard of, which was the pearl diving tourism in a part of the UAE. So how did that happen? And tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
Of course. So after doing 3 years of Himalayan Kriya Yoga, where I completely dissociated myself with the external world, so I was completely out of the corporate world. So I was really focused on working on myself. And then this opportunity came to me through some connections. He told me there was a gentleman who has a pill farm in Ras Al Khaimah, and he wants to convert it into a business. So would you be interested in it? And I said, yeah, I'm open, because it's been 3 years. I've been away from the corporate world. I said, maybe this would be a good way to just go back, because I didn't have this thing about going back to the banking world again, So I thought it would be a good thing, because it's a small business, it's a family-owned business, it's an SME, and not much will be needed. That's what I thought, I said, at least, I had to take something that I felt wouldn't take me away from my yoga practice, because that was very much an important part of me by then. So I just started, with a white paper, putting up all the pieces together. It was a very small pearl farm on the sea in Ras Al Khaimah, and we launched it, as first of all as a cultivation, because it's cultivates pearls, and then because it had so many stories. The GCC countries in general are connected to the pearl diving. They historically connected to pearl diving.
Correct.
And this gentleman had so many stories about the pearl diving. So I asked him if he was open for us to invite visitors to come and see, because no pearl farm in the world likes people to come to visit them, because they considered it to be a very sensitive job, and not many, the more you bring people, it could harm the oysters and stuff like that. So I asked him a lot of questions so that we don't jeopardize the business. He said, yeah, we can. I said, because we have so many stories, and if we connect somehow the journey of the pearls with the stories, that would help us, to generate extra income. Because the pearl farming is a very long-term investment, and it takes 4 to 5 years, 6 years before it starts break even and start generating income. So that was my initial Kickstarter, because I needed to think, Sarah, this is fine, but this guy will not wait for 5 years. So you need to think, what you can do. So I connected the stories, to the pearls. And within 18 months, the pearl farm became so famous. It became a tourist destination, and today it is one of the most sought tourist destination in the world. And not just for the GCC region, even from different parts of the world, people are coming. They are taken into this journey of taking them back to 200 years. In those dhow boats, and then they're taken to the pearl farm, where they actually see how the pearls are being formed, how they're seeded, what the scientific benefits behind it, and of course, the different kind of pearls that the farm produces, and that journey in itself, is such a profound way of people coming here and learning about the cultures and tradition of this country.
Yeah, nice. So. Let's get a little more closer to your heart now. Let's talk about the two pearls in your life, your two sons. So tell us a little bit about the boys. So what are they doing? What are they like?
Yeah. So my son Sultan, he's the eldest one. He's 25 years old, mashallah, and he has a bachelor's degree in hospitality industry. And now he started working for an Islamic finance company just a few months ago. My second son is Adnan, and he's my baby boy. He's 23 years old, and he's working with Aldar Properties in Abu Dhabi, even in the finance department. So both my sons are in the finance department.
Surprise.
They just started. Yeah, they're beautiful. They support me all the way through Tagore, and they have been, super understanding, and they respect and understand everything that I do. They never question me, and they just keep on, motivating me to do more and more. And I'm very proud of them, and I'm sure they're very proud of me as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
At least they are the pearls. One is right, one is left eye.
So, what are you currently working on at the moment, Sarah? Besides doing your yoga with a whole bunch of women across Africa and also in the UAE, what else keeps you busy right now?
Yeah, so last year in October, I decided to step down from the pearl farm because I had reached a point with them where they are good to go, and they need technical expertise, which I don't have. And the business is so small that it doesn't need too many people to manage it, and owner himself was getting involved in the management. So I said, you can't have two managers for such a small business. So I decided to step down, and of course I'm available to them on ad hoc basis if they ever need my expertise, because remember, I'm only coming from a business perspective. I'm not into really the pearl farming. I'm not a pearl farmer myself. So they need to work on that. The pearl farm is generating comfortable revenue that is supporting the day-to-day operations of the company. Now they need to move to the next level. So I stepped down and I went to Kenya. I was invited by my friend. She was here before. She's an Arab lady, but from Kenya. And she did with me 7 months Himalaya Kriya Yoga, and she had a sciatica issue and colon issue on her left side, and she totally recovered within 6 months of doing Kriya Yoga with me, and she was suffering for 15 years. So when she went back to Kenya, she kept on sending me messages, I have to go. There are so many women there that need help and so many people that need help. So I told myself, I don't have anything to do right now. Let me just give it a try. So when I went to there, I was in Mombasa for about 4 months. And it was a tremendous experience. I was, so many women came, I almost had more than, I think, 500 or 1,000 women, I can't remember, in just 4 months. And they kept on coming. But then I don't know, I just felt that everything was overwhelming and you need to have a proper foundation before anything moves forward. And I felt this sense of responsibility that these women started thinking of me like somebody, that could heal them. But they didn't want to do actually the Kriya Yoga practice. They wanted me just to do healing for them. And that's not really my journey. I do healings, Tagore, but I do healings. I'll do 1 time, 2 time sessions. I'll align your body, but then you will have to do the Kriya Yoga practice to keep yourself maintained. And without that, it doesn't work. So that kind of, made me rethink about my work in Africa. Even though my friend keeps on calling me even now to go back. But I'm here and I'm continuing to do the same thing. But at the same time, I'm also looking for opportunities in the corporate world, finding another project, short-term project. Because I'm not somebody who can actually, be an employee of a company. I can come in as a consultant, as an advisor, or as a project manager. That's what I'm looking for, So if I get that opportunity, I'll definitely take it on board. But I'm continuing with my Kriya Yoga practice and teaching people Kriya Yoga.
So,
that's really
interesting life. Lots of success, lots of recognition. Took a plunge into something that's very, not common. In your surroundings. Any regrets?
There are many regrets, but these regrets are connected to our emotions rather than our successes.
Correct. Yeah.
So as women, Tagore, as I told you, we face a lot of challenges and we do sacrifice a lot. For example, you sometimes, as a woman, you would like to have your partner with you, husband or somebody. But we reach to a stage, where sometimes we have to give up on all that because we are so much ambitious about becoming successful out there in the world that we don't maintain that balance very well. Don't get me wrong, there are women that have managed to maintain that very well, but I was not that blessed in that way, to have a partner that could support me all the way through. But those are the little things sometimes I tend to miss in my life. But other than that, honestly, if you ask me any major regrets, no, I really don't. I can't even think. It doesn't even come to my mind. I must have failed. Yes, I failed a lot. I fell many times, and I restarted many times as well, even during my career, building my careers. It sounds very successful journey, but no, it was not. I had to go through a very harsh dip or some kind of emotional or failure to wake up again. The world is very, very competitive, and as a woman, it even becomes more for us. Not because we have to present ourselves in a certain way, we have to talk in a certain way. We need we have, our attitude has to be in a certain way. Otherwise, you as a woman, you lose your respect very quickly out there in the corporate world. So to keep up with all those pressures, sometimes, you also lose out on a lot of opportunities. And then you have to fight back, to show that you are no lesser.
Somebody told me that failure wasn't about falling down. Failure was about how long you keep yourself down before you stand up. And, just to wrap up this whole chat, Sarah, what advice would you give? I'll say this very carefully. What advice would you give to people across the board who are listening to this podcast, be they men, but especially women, especially Muslim women, and especially Arab women? What advice would you give them about their lives, and what would you have to say to them if they're listening to this?
My advice to everybody out there, Muslims, non-Muslims, is two things. One is that you fail only to succeed. You fail only to succeed. So you need to carry yourself like that. When you fall down, you fail, it's not the end of the world. That means there is something better out there for you, or you need to tap in more into your own potential. Secondly, they all need to look after themselves, after their bodies. They cannot be running around working 24/7 and forgetting their body. They need to take time and look after their bodies. They need to do either exercise, do some kind of meditation, whatever resonates with them. They need to look every day of their life. You need to spend 1 hour where you are with you. And that's it. That kind of connection is very, very important for you to move on out and about, whether you are at home or whether you are outside. Because otherwise, you lose your health, and when you lose your health, you can lose many things. And getting it back can be really challenging. So it's always good to put that within yourselves and be inspired, be inspired with the successes of people. Don't be inspired with the downfalls of the people. Look for stories, look for people, that you can look upon. Find, and there are many out there, read through either the social media or through the newspaper, either through the web, whatever, Just find and read stories about the successes of how people became successful. They will understand, what does success what it means, and find a healthy balance, which is the key. Without health, honestly, life is not worth it. If you're not happy and you're not in peace with yourself, there's something wrong. You need to find that peace within yourself. That's our birthright.
Yeah. So look, Sarah, I enjoy talking to all of my guests. I really do. And I do personally find inspirational stories in everybody that I talk to, But talking to you has been so wonderful, because I can resonate with that part of the world that you come from. And, my wife is from that part of the world as well. As I said, my parents earn their livelihood in that part of the world. So I've always been associated with them. And to be able to talk to you, you're a Muslim woman, you're a practicing Muslim, you're an investment banker, you're a pearl diving, founder, you are and you practice this beautiful science called yoga, and you're helping women who would not, typically be associated with or be open to that. So best of luck with everything that you do, and I can't wait to hear what your other success story and your crazy success stories are going to be like, if I may say that respectfully. But I just can't wait. I'm so glad to know you, and I hope we can stay in touch. Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Very much.
And as they say in your part of the world, Assalamu alaikum, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.